And today we are doing something a little bit quite different. So this is the audio log, 3D printing as a beginner. And, well, this is going to be completely uncut. Almost, well, actually, yeah, no editing whatsoever. So, to keep this short and simple, we will be talking about, first, number one, how did I start? How did I quit after I just started? And that's, my beginner, like really beginner time. Number three, how did I come back, which is, present day. Number four, what influenced me to buy a FlashForge then the Cobra Max. Number five, the pain of troubleshooting. Number six, the pain of tuning. Number seven, am I going a little bit crazy with the tuning? Number eight, my thoughts wrapped up. And number nine, what I plan for the head. And number 10 will be left for after this video, if you guys stick along. So, number one, how did I start? So it was, I think it was around 9th grade or so. That would be, I feel kind of stupid for not being able to pinpoint the years already, but around 9th grade, I think I bought an A8, from ANET, the ANET A8, and that thing was actually humongous at the time. It was absolutely beastly. Like, it was a glass bed too already, so it was really cool. Like, all this stuff, it was direct drive, and that thing would have actually worked out very well. And now that I realize how badly I kind of messed up on that and, didn't actually fulfill on my goals of 3D printing back then, kind of makes me sad. So, I quit when the assembly was okay, but I quit when it was time to do the tuning and the entire slicer profile, and I had no idea about Cura. I used Prusa slicer, and absolutely, completely dog shit myself at that point. Around 7 days into 3D printing, I printed like a quarter of a Mayan temple that came with the A8, and after it started to curl up and finally had its first error, which it stopped feeding filament, because now that I realized, it was probably a setting that I didn't check out, or maybe the filament was just absolute trash, but my troubleshooting skills back then were absolutely nothing. So I quit 3D printing, and recently I just came back into this. This is about 1 or 2 years, but no, actually 1 year out of high school. The entire inspiration for that is actually credited to my brother, who also runs, DLT, Design Technology Lifestyle channel. Check him out. He had a Prusa, like MK3S or something. And he always made these cool designs. And I was like, wow, I kind of want to do that. So I actually, around the summer of 2020, was it 20? No. Okay, never mind. It was early 2022. I bought a FlashForge. Now, this FlashForge, Adventurer 3C, I think it is. Yeah. The Adventurer 3C. It's a great printer. It's fully enclosed. But now that I realize that struggles of having a FlashForge is, it is a FlashForge, and not so well. You're kind of locked to like a 0.4 millimeter hot swappable nozzle, and it was proprietary, so that wasn't going to cut it for long enough. But there I was able to finally harness 3D printer's functionality, which in my case was making hooks in the garage of our other studio area, which actually contributed to a pretty good amount of organization, as I'll just say. I was able to organize a whole lot of stuff on the walls instead of just on the floor. And that kind of really kickstarted my entire design thing as well. So in that time, I also was able to renew my Shaper 3D account with my student ID that I have never used. And, honestly, that's a pretty good hack. Just use your college account. But there was many complications along the way, mostly because of the build volume, which was extremely small at around, topping out about 5" to 5" to 5" all around, which I will tell you guys, that's not enough to paint. That's not enough to print a lot of useful things. We recently have our angle adapter for a gutter, which was, what do you call it? It was so big that it could not print on my brother's Prusa without some questionable stuff going on. I think that's what he said. I'm not sure if it's really true. It looks like it can print, but we ended up using the Cobra Max for that, and it was an entire string nightmare. But I will get to that soon. The reason I did buy a FlashForge completely was it was easy, and right out of the box, it doesn't have ABL, so it still uses the 9-point paper, paper between the nozzle test, and it works great. It had the flex plate and all, wireless print sending. It's great. Honestly, for a beginner, that's what you should probably start off with, though the pricing is I don't know. The pricing for the FlashForge was $300, which I can just say, it's not great, especially with budget printers like the Tronix White Crux Mini, which could also be pretty good, or even just a Prusa Mini that could give you actual industrial quality kind of stuff. I don't know, Prusa's print really good. But anyway, I got the Cobra Max after I realized that the build plate was limiting for me on the FlashForge. And the Cobra Max was my first attempt at an actual printer. Now, the Cobra Max is an HBOT style, so it has the what do you call it? The gantry is on the y-axis, and you have what is it gonna? I think the y-axis is the build plate moving back and forth, and the x-axis is also, what do you call it, with the gantry, and on the kind of moves with the z-axis. Sorry if I'm very bad at explaining, but this thing wasn't without its pain at first, the pain of troubleshooting. So, I always forget, so I want to list down the numbers, but okay, whatever. Number 5, the pain of troubleshooting. Now, the pain of troubleshooting with a lot of things is you got to find out where exactly that trouble happened in the first place, whether if it was complete user error or was it a hardware failure. In my case, it was hardware failure, because the first time I set up the Cobra Max, I was so excited to get this thing running, and I was printing a doorstop out of everything. So while printing that doorstop, I realized that one of the bed rollers for the heated bed was still covered in plastic, and that was a complete user error. But I don't know how a wheel that was causing barely any resistance caused a motherboard to fry itself. Now, when the Cobra Max fried itself, it took an entirety of 2 weeks in that summer to actually get that thing to work, and it wasn't great. I had to literally just put it I had to get it half off the table, and then service it like I was doing an oil change on a car, taking out the motherboard and putting in new wires, and that's pretty much it. It's a pretty good swap if you have a table and you can lay down and do all this stuff for it. So be mindful of that if you're buying a Cobra Max. You might have a defective motherboard. Now, the other troubleshooting part was I had no idea what the extruder. The extruder was like, I didn't know what the screw did. So my first instinct was to crank that all the way to tight, and that caused filament grinding issues. Yeah, not great. So lesson learned. Don't tighten it fully. Tighten it just enough. And also the rollers. I have not worked with eccentric rollers since I bought a FlashForge. The FlashForge is its own enclosed little unit, and it doesn't need tuning at all. I mean, it doesn't need to troubleshoot all these kind of different things. It just works straight out of the box, which I guess is great for FlashForge, but not great for anyone who actually wants to do any sizable things. Now, the next topic is number 6, the pain of tuning your stuff, because you want it to run at the best performance, and this is actually what I've been having difficulties with for as long as I've actually owned the Cobra Max. I've never printed in such great quality, never ever, which is also kind of slowing down the print shop. So more updates on that later in a different video. But tuning is its own different kind of beast. You have temperature, you have retraction, you have coasting, you have Z-hop, you have what do you call it? You have E-steps, you have flow equalization, you have the actual flow rate, and well, you have heated bed temperatures and all these sorts of other variables. Quite literally, the ambient air could be its own massive variable. Who knew, right? So the pain of tuning is sometimes you'll get things right, and then the other thing is, like, midway it'll just completely fail. And then maybe you say you need a skirt, maybe you need a brim, maybe you need a raft at some point. It's the kind of mentality that tells you, do this, then that. If this doesn't work, try that. And with Cura, I had no idea that what do you call it? That regardless, the generic PETG profile works pretty well straight out of the box, other than the fact that with the Cobra Max it does set it to 190. Now, using Overture PETG, I was suggested by the filament box to go to 235C. And today, actually, at the recording of this video, I just realized 225 or 220C is actually the best, and got rid of all the popping noises from the extruder or hot end. So, my bad for going back to number 6 a little bit, but check your hot end. Mine was leaking underneath the silicon sock, and you can tell because of how much the PETG is like blobbing everywhere inside the TC and all that. Okay, never mind. So anyway, back to number 6. Wait. Oh, my bad. Number 5. Number 5 was the pain of troubleshooting. Number 6 is pain of tuning. Sorry. So, again, back to tuning. You have a lot of variables. You have things to work with. And every single material and every single printer is going to print exactly different. No printer is built the same. You'll have different flow rates. You'll have different E-step, whatever. And I still haven't even been able to have the patience to calibrate for E-step. And that's just one of the bigger difficulties that you're going to have to work with 3D printing, is that you're going to have a lot of fails. You're going to have a lot of wasted material, and this printer is going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive to maintain slightly. It's going to be expensive to run. The Cobra Max, especially, since it does take around 500 watts, it's not an AC heated bed, it's still DC, and it keeps the entirety of the bed heated. So it's not like sectioned off for better power efficiency. But regardless, tuning is a headache. Number 7. Was I going insane with tuning? I don't know. You tell me. the amount of times I've been saying I'm going to release a PETG profile for the Cobra Max was a long time. And this was in combination with, these had combination with failure combinations with hardware and actual tuning. I used, what do you call it? I took some guy's PETG profile from GitHub, slapped it in, didn't work at all. In fact, it actually created more of a spider web than it did a functional 3D printed part. And I was going insane. You can see, I guess, from home, like how many YouTube shorts I've made about me. Oh, I'm going to release a Cobra Max PETG profile, and I never did. That just kind of shows how I thought I got it, but then I went to go do something else because I realized at the end it looked like complete shit. There was that one time I cranked that retraction so far up to like 14 millimeters that I didn't know what I was doing because I thought it gave me a perfect first layer. All it really did was just waste all that time because I didn't realize that the heat sink of the hot end is actually the cool part. The heat sink with the fan blowing on it is to make sure that heat does not creep back into where the filament, the PFTE or PTFE tube is, and that just prevents the actual tube from melting the hell out, and it prevents the filament from heating up prematurely and causing clogs. So that was a complete newbie mistake. So yeah, that was pretty much me going insane with tuning. I've released several videos about me. Yes, I got the perfect tune. Yes, I got the PETG profile. And I never delivered. But I will be delivering soon, anyway. And number 8, my thoughts so far about the entire 3D printing and design thing. 3D design is a headache, people. I've been using Shaper 3D, and to make complex parts, I feel like they kind of leave us out in the dust. I don't have much prior experience to 3D CAD other than Fusion 360 back in high school 9th grade in a media arts class, where I comically used it to make a suggestive cylinder. So I did not know what I'm doing. DLT Channel does know he does know how to properly model complex parts, which is something I'm slightly envious about, and something that he won't teach me about because, unfortunately, all their siblings, yes, I know, especially, what do you call it? Especially the fact that Shaper 3D, it doesn't give a lot of tutorials, in-depth tutorials at least. It's all right. It's all right for beginners still, just to make some blocky little objects here and there. But the complex tools, they're gonna have like some little nifty tutorial things, but the way that you want to implement them might not always actually work. So that's also something. So they'll show you on the tutorial how to do said tool, how to use said tool, and then it will probably conflict with what you're doing if you're trying to make something really complex, which I'm also, yeah, I'll just say that's ish. But 3D printing, today I actually hit a milestone. I mean, not milestone, but I've actually hit a pretty good landmark for the Cobra Max, which I found out that 225 or 220C is actually an optimal print temperature with a bed temp of 80 to 85 and a retraction of 6 millimeters distance with speed of 50 or 40 or 60 millimeters retraction, disable Z-hop, and keep the printing to at least 50 to 60 millimeters a second. And use skirt, use ABL use the ABL always if you're changing like the bed temp I mean, not the bed temp, my bad. If you're changing like nozzles or something, because even the nozzle can kind of put you off. Then also my Z offset is around 0.10 up. And what do you call it? What else? What else can I throw in here? Oh, my flow rate. The flow rate right now is 80% because I've actually done a slight calibration, which I've pretty much no, I made a short about it just today or yesterday. I don't know anymore. But do go check it out if you want to see if you can calibrate for E-step right there. I think that's E-step, or is that flow? But it said flow. I don't want to mess with E-steps right now. I'm too lazy, sorry. But yeah, my thoughts on 3D printing is it's great. It's a great hobby. It's not for anybody who's lazy. It's not for anybody who's not dedicated. You have to be dedicated to solving issues. So you have to be a problem solver and you have to be constant about it, because once you do run into issues, you should be able to memorize how to fix that issue, and then it should be great because, you learn how to fix that issue. And that's what 3D printing is kind of almost all about, especially with these lower end printers that are kind of, it's a machine, but it's the user that operates the machine that really defines how well it'll actually operate. So that's a reminder. If you guys have any questions for me, leave them in the comments below, because I will gladly answer any comments, because I don't get any comments at all. So yeah, if you guys need any help, I'll probably get back to you within a few hours, a few minutes, in a few seconds maybe, or up to a day or two, because, So number 9, what do I plan for ahead? Print business. Now, we're going to set up our own print business soon. That's great, right? Company setup is complex. I'll just say that. That's another story for another day. But we are going to have some special new things that's going to be added to the I'm the Slep workshop and DLC channel, of course. Now, what we plan for ahead mostly is to establish a foothold in the 3D printing market around our area, the Bay Area. So we're going to cater mostly to other independent people who just want to get things printed, but they want to do it locally, support a local business, that kind of stuff. So look out for that sometime soon, maybe even this summer of 2023, people. Watch out for that. And here is our grand announcement. Number 10, the Bamboo Lab. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Vince, around the Slep channel, we don't have that kind of cash. We don't have that kind of cash, but I refunded the Tron XY, and soon I do actually have some work to actually support this hobby. So, yep, thanks Walmart, because Walmart pays pretty good for a independent contracting job. But back to the Bamboo Lab, we have ordered an X1 Carbon with the AMS, and we've ordered a P1P, and we'll do a good review on that sometime soon once we receive it. We've actually just purchased that the X1 with the AMS today, and the P1P around yesterday or 2 days ago. So they should be coming in within 7 to 10 days. And oh my gosh, is that going to push us into like the future? It's going to be great. Because I saw how fast that Bamboo Lab can print. That's also one thing that I didn't tell you guys yet, but the print times are stupid long for anything. So sometimes overnight printing, like always in the printing community, we say overnight printing is a hit or a miss. Sometimes we'll just, sit in front of our 3D printers for the entirety of the day, realizing that every single piece of like laid filament that printer prints, we got to make sure that it's just, actually sticking and not going completely everywhere. We're kind of freakish. But yeah, we will welcome the Bamboo Labs into our arsenal of printing equipment, and we've also gotten access to resin prints, which in a future video I do plan to show if can I print something that I 3D scan, can I even print a figure. So we'll check that too, because yeah, that's cool technology, and I want to utilize cool technology to its you know, utmost potential. And also car parts, because the X1 Carbon, as its name it says carbon, can print carbon fiber nylon. Carbon fiber nylon is godly filament right there. So we will be experimenting with that, because carbon fiber nylon is one of the bigger steps for part production, and maybe you guys can even purchase some of our parts. Who knows? Only the future can tell. So thanks for listening to this little audio log or solo podcast, and thank you again for supporting the On the Slab channel. Really, we couldn't have done this without you. I couldn't have done this without you guys, you the viewers, anyone who just likes the video and just stays around. Everybody who just watches this kind of stuff really helps out the channel in ways that I can't really express. It's great. I think, yes, I put a community post up on about it, and every single comment that I get, I do cherish, because it does show me that some people do enjoy the video enough to ask questions. Maybe they have a technical issue that they have, and I like to be helpful. That's pretty much it. So definitely, guys, don't be shy. Leave a comment, leave a like, leave a dislike. Any sort of feedback is really appreciated. And thank you again for listening to this On the Slab podcast or audio log. And we are out. Oh, did I forget? If you're not subscribed yet, can you subscribe? Yeah, I think that's it. All right, bye.